Hey, good evening. I hope that you're enjoying your tour of NCHS as you go through and try to meet each and every one of the teachers here. You'll find that there are a lot of really just amazing people with incredible backgrounds, all of whom have come together in an effort to try to encourage, edify, build up, and bring your students to that next level and prepare them for college. As I record this, I myself am getting ready to go and teach a class tomorrow evening for one of the local universities, and that's why I can't be there tonight. Dr. Ketchum is trying to help and is available obviously for any questions that you may have, but I thought that the one question you might want to know for both the anatomy and physiology class as well as for the AP biology class is who exactly is teaching your children and what kind of a person is he? I'll take just a couple of moments and hopefully it will help understand a little bit more about who I am, and I'm more than happy to meet with any one of you independently outside of class and answer any questions that you might have. On the table there at the front of the room or possibly on the desk is a copy of the syllabus for the class for each one. In both classes we tend to incorporate a lot of technology. I reach out and use the TED Talks. A couple of years ago, when CRISPR technology was just coming on the scene, we took the opportunity to actually engage in discussions with the World Health Organization to try to actually put forward some kind of an ethical discussion that might incorporate the values that we hold near and dear in order to account for some of the concepts that they were laying out that would create ethical dilemmas when it comes to the idea of editing the human genome. Now, I fell in love with science many years ago. In fact, I can almost pinpoint it to a single instructor by the name of Mr. Flynn. Now, Mr. Flynn was my 5th grade teacher, and he got all of us kids just excited about the idea of building our very own robot. So if you can imagine something that looked like it crawled out of a 1960s B black and white sci-fi movie, that's what we made. But we thought we were cutting-edge robotics at the time, and we were just amazed with it. Over the years, I would come to embrace and love science more and more, the more that I learned. And over time, the challenges that I would face in life, I would seek answers in science for. My family didn't attend any kind of a church. We didn't really have a whole lot of exposure to anything that was in the Bible outside of when perhaps someone actually passed away, so not exactly a positive experience. A few years ago, 17 to be accurate, I would meet the woman who would become my bride, and she was a evangelical Christian, and I at the time was a practicing Zen Buddhist. She was going off to Bible college. She was taking classes in Christian apologetics and really venturing out to find out what God had in store for her. I thought, she's a nice girl, I'll help her out. I think she's on the wrong path, if you can imagine. Her first gift to me was a Thompson Chain Reference Bible. It's one that I still use today. In it, I sought to try to point out all of the things that I had heard about that were the contradictions and things of that nature. And every time when I thought that I had just that very thing, she had just so happened to cover it that day in class, had the notes, and we were able to discuss it. Over the course of a year, I got to the point that I faced what can really be said as just a Pascal's wager. I had to ask the question, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong about what I think is true in science and what I thought that I knew about this God and this fellow named Jesus? Well, I got down on my knees and I received him in 1998, and my life really hasn't been the same since. Now, there were a lot of discussions that were still going on between my wife and I, especially in the area of evolution. And so, as she does, she made me challenge all of my assumptions. And I would spend the better part of the next year actually researching all of the scientific assumptions that are required to believe in evolution. In the course of both classes, both the AP Bio and the Anatomy and Physiology class, we'll take a look at some of those assumptions. We want to promote active critical thinking, to understand that just because there was a study on it, a study may not have an accurate outcome, that not everything that's published may necessarily be true. Even some of the peer-reviewed articles will later be turned upside down by new findings. After having spent almost 20 years in medicine as a clinical and medical laboratory scientist, my specialties in immunology and immunohematology and other weird things that involve the way your body reacts to disease, I've really come to embrace what Louis Pasteur had identified so many years ago. That being that if one only has a little bit of science, it's easy to walk away from God. But if one dives deep into the details of science, one simply marvels at the design and the works at God's hands. I'm just blown away every day by some of the things that we find and learn, to include even outcomes of the recent genome projects. We'll discuss genomic medicine. We'll discuss things that are cutting edge right now. Still helping and overseeing several laboratories myself for physicians. We'll bring in real-world cases for them to look at in the Anatomy and Physiology class. In the Anatomy and Physiology class, we'll also have a visit at some point during the year with the county coroner, who will actually walk us through a full autopsy. Over the course of the year, the AP Biology class will be diving deeper into all the various impacts to the entire biosphere for every single interaction, and discover and review all of the greater details of the design that is absolutely evident in the system. Now, we will also be preparing in the AP Biology class for the AP exam at the end of the year. The course of that exam and the outcome from it, where we encourage all of the students to take the exam, is that they'll have an opportunity to earn college credit hours if they successfully complete with a score of 3 or higher. Last year, our students scored in the upper third of all of those that tested nationwide, and they did quite well, most of whom have received college credit. We're currently seeking to ensure that there is concurrent credit available at the university level for the Anatomy and Physiology class, and I'll let you know the outcome as soon as we have that set up. We want to make sure that your students are college ready. Everything about both of these classes are set to college and university standards. They will be expected to write papers in APA format. They will be expected to be able to discuss, review, and debate all of the various points that are brought forward throughout both courses. In each of these scenarios, we will identify that science can be both a team sport as well as one that is individual-based. In all my years as being a scientist in the medical community, I've yet to really ever see that someone was solely on their own when they went to complete their work. So there will be some team projects that have to be completed, as well as team papers. This encourages that the students have an opportunity to not only learn how to work together effectively, but also learn how to divvy up all of the various aspects of a project to ensure that it can be brought to completion in a timely manner. Now, I don't want to bore you too much with some of the other various details, and I want to make sure that if you need or want, my business cards are there on the desk, and should you choose to, please feel free to email me at any time with any additional questions that you might have. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I'm sure that Dr. Ketchum might have some other points for you, and I do hope that you have a great rest of the evening. In the meantime, God bless. I look forward to meeting each of you and working with all of your students. Have a great night.